Live from not Pete Taylor Park. We were all three at the game. That's JonBenet, that's Jackson Howell. I'm Dima Mixon. We were all three at the game. The game lasted so long that they kind of like shoot us off the field after we talked to Coach Barry, and I kind of felt a little guilty of staying on the field so long. We probably could have been on the field, but we're back in College Hall, a little quieter, not in the outside air to say, but the outside air lasted a long time tonight. 5.5-hour game. Southern Miss wins 14-13 over Illinois to even the series. Carson Pato comes up with the walk-off hit to win the game and score Robertson there at the end there. So 15 hits for Southern Miss, 13 for Illinois. Crazy game. There was so much action in this game. It's kind of hard to believe that, me and JonBenet were out at the beginning of the game shooting photos, and I was taking photos. She's doing videos, of course. And we're out there, and I had to put on like sunscreen, Jackson, and I'm like, oh, we're going to be burning up. But we were expecting the game to be over at like 5, but it was over at 7:15 or whatever. So it ended up being like a pleasant evening for baseball where it was like hot. It's just crazy of how long we sat for that game.
Yeah, Dima, the temperature might have been pleasant at the end of the game, but this game was nothing even close to pleasant. It was absolutely bonkers from the get-go. I mean, just take a look at it. Things started off in the top of the first inning with an inside-the-park home run by Illinois. It was off the right field wall. Carson Pato tried to make the catch, crashed off the wall, wound up hitting his head off the turf. Bit of a scary moment there. It took him a while to get back up. Illinois takes advantage, but he does stay in the game. And, yeah, like you said, winds up coming in the 11th and having the game-winning hit. But also in the top of the 11th, a potentially game-saving grab, diving catch in right field. I mean, you told me this right after the game. If he doesn't make that catch, that might be a triple. Or an inside the park home run. Yes, and then the next hitter got a single. Yeah. So that definitely would have been another run and would have been another scary situation for Southern Miss to be in. But it was just like a good old boxing match. Like, they just kept going back and forth. Illinois would score, Southern Miss would score. Southern Miss would score, Illinois would score. Like, it felt like they were destined to do it forever, to quote the Joker there. It was just an absolutely insane game, a slobber knocker. There's so many adjectives you could use to describe this game. I mean, it's almost got me speechless. Just what a game.
Yeah, Southern Miss threw 9 pitchers tonight, JonBenet, all 9 of them showing action. Even Dustin Dickerson in there at the bottom of the ninth. But Matthew Adams gets to the start. He goes 4 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. So I guess you could just say not the best day, but a decent day. He does what Southern Miss. He gives Southern Miss at least a chance to win. He gives up those 3 runs. But, man, this Illinois lineup right here, they are a good lineup. Like, every one of them can hit out of the park, and they show that tonight, especially Cal Hadza. I hope I'm saying that right. Hadza something. He had 2 home runs, both 3-run shots, and one coming in the top of the ninth. But that's besides the point. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Matthew Adams, what did you see from him today, JonBenet?
Matthew Adams, he came in the...
He started.
Started. Yeah, it seemed like in the beginning he was on a roll, and then like everybody else towards the end there, they just started throwing, and there were so many walks in this game, but eventually, like you said, I think Dustin Dickerson came in at the 7th inning, and that was surprising for me. I know a lot of other people too, but yeah, pitching today, it seemed like maybe they were a little bit better. There was a lot of rotation, but hopefully tomorrow they'll be able to figure out more of what they want to do.
Yeah, they got Nico Mazza on the mound tomorrow. Be a heck of a rubber match tomorrow. But Jackson, I think every player on the roster got a hit except for Sargent. But Christopher Sargent gave Southern Miss a chance to win this game. He strikes out and reaches base on an error by the catcher. There's like just so many little moments in this game that gave Southern Miss a chance to win the game. When really, in fact, in my opinion, they probably shouldn't have won this game.
Yeah, you could definitely take that argument, but then looking at Sargent, he strikes out, but a swinging strike 3, the catcher has to catch the ball, and if he doesn't, has to throw it to first, and the catcher made an errant throw, allowed Sargent to reach. And then a couple pitches later, may have been the very next pitch, Sargent steals second. Well, it's not a steal, but he advanced to second off of a wild pitch. He was initially called out, and he was absolutely livid. Went to a review, and he had a right to be livid because he was ruled safe. Then he advances to third, and then Matthew Russo comes into the game, a guy who not a lot of experience, hasn't done really anything for Southern Miss this year. Comes up in a big spot, 2 strikes, gets the RBI ground out that allows the game to be tied and really keep the game going. Sargent was able to score. Just guys coming together. Like we talked about it earlier in the season, they really couldn't buy hits. Tonight, it was quite the opposite. They couldn't buy pitching, really. Just Scott Berry didn't say as much, but I know in his heart of hearts, if Nico Mazza goes 7 innings, he's going to be the happiest man on earth tomorrow with how the bullpen performed today. He said that there were a lot of guys, even older guys, that really needed to step up and accept this challenge, and they'll have the opportunity to do that tomorrow because they're definitely facing adversity after throwing so many guys today.
Yeah, I don't know if Nico can go that long just because of the talent that this Illinois team has on their roster. Every single player on their starting lineup gets a hit. I just mentioned Cal. He had 2 3-run shots to the same part of the park in probably, the top of the ninth, JonBenet. When he hit that 3-run shot to take a 2-run lead, I thought it was over.
Yeah, I did too. All I can say is wow. And it seemed like the whole night there wasn't a lot of stability. And I think I could see that with the fans and in the dugout for both sides. You know, it was like a reflection. Everybody was just on edge. And once you thought maybe we were going to be up, then they responded. And there was never like a solid foundation for anybody, it seemed like.
Yeah, definitely. We don't root for Southern Miss, in these games. And so even though we work here, we're like on the unbiased reporters. But like, I was on the edge of my seat. It's just like that tense in the moment. I can't even imagine being a player. I was reading some of the stuff on my Twitter feed, and people were following me from work or not here at the game. And if I was a fan, I'd be refreshing the Twitter feed every 3 seconds, trying to get those updates. And it was just a crazy game. But Jackson, a player who did come in and kind of save the day for Southern Miss, Nick Monaster, came in the top of the 11th and gave Southern Miss the first goose egg of Illinois, a 0 in quite some time. So Illinois scored 10 runs over the stretch of the last 5 innings, so which is crazy because they only had 13 runs. But Nick Monaster, he gets that strikeout, and you could just see him pump his fist.
I know it. Nick Monaster, a freshman out of Northwest Rankin. He was a guy that is listed as a two-way player, both an infielder and a pitcher. He was a better pitcher in high school, I believe, but he was a guy that could have been in the mix at second base. We knew how uncertain that was. One of the lower depth guys, I would say, but just came in, onions, man, just ice in his veins. Like he had the best pitching performance of the game, and I think this was his first pitching performance of his career. He was the 9th pitcher to be thrown in there, and who would have thought he would have been the best one? He was throwing gas and got a 3-pitch strikeout to end the 11th inning and give Southern Miss a chance. You just got to tip your cap. Did he? That's my bad. But you just got to tip your cap to him, man. A young guy in that situation coming in there, like, you can't ask for anything more.
Yeah, we're kind of at a loss because there's so many players who are coming in, so we're kind of getting everything confused. So like how long this box score is, just all the substitutions they had to make over that long of a game. And, you got to come tomorrow, JonBenet, they got to come up and get up and just do it all over again. And, Nico Mazza on the mound tomorrow. And I don't know who Silver's going to have in their bullpen really because they have to keep midweek against State next week. But what do you think the mentality of this team is coming in tomorrow? What do you think that they should – did they say just put this one behind them, rattle them energy? What do you think?
I don't know if anyone that was watching this game today is going to have the emotional stability to like even show, the fans especially, because it just, like I said, it was a roller coaster. But I think like today when I first got there, the energy in the dugout was kind of like correct me if I'm wrong, Dima, but it was like they were, all right, yesterday happened, today's a new day. And I think they'll do that again tomorrow. And I think even Coach Berry said that they didn't let what happened Friday get in their heads today or impact their effort that they put on the field.
Yeah, I think if they would have gotten beat tonight, I think like tomorrow they'd be in real danger of getting swept. Just because losing a game of that much momentum back and forth, it's hard to get up tomorrow and try to avoid getting swept. So I think it's a big deal they won to try to win the series tomorrow. Which in my head, it's incredible that they have a chance to win the series. There were so many times in this game tonight where they should have lost. But they kept responding. Jackson, they were down 2 in the bottom of the 9th with 1 out. Reese Ewing lined out to right field, and we were like, oh, okay. And Charlie Fisher comes in with a double. Brady Faust. Brady Faust comes with a double. Like I said, we have so many players. We're trying to remember everybody. Brady Faust comes with a double, and it's like, okay, well, here we go. And then they just kept responding in incredible ways.
It really is the old saying of snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. Yeah. Like, they just kept battling. Coach Barry talked about competing after the game, and that's exactly what this team did. They competed every step of the way. They were not going to be denied, and man, no spot seemed too big for them. They have the 8-3 lead, obviously, and then they blow the lead in the top of the ninth, go down 12-10. I mean, a 3-run home run that probably still hasn't landed. And to be able to come back from that just says a lot about this team. Somebody asked Coach Barry post-game whether a game like this can be good for the team going forward. And you definitely like to win competitive games like this. Really helps you earn your stripes and have that competitiveness down the stretch. They have this experience coming up clutch. Just a great win.
Yeah, for sure. Illinois is getting 10 runs after Matthew Adams came out. So the bullpen really needing to find some answers quickly, which is the question we had all preseason was about the bullpen and whether or not they could come in and be at least something of what last year's was. Last week they showed they could, but this week not even remotely close. As this is, you don't see this. I mean, from a Southern Miss baseball perspective, where you have 11 walks and allowing 13 hits, and I mean, you just don't see that, and allowing 3-run homers and all this stuff. I mean, that stuff, and hit by pitches. We're not even talking about those. So, a lot of those tonight. Southern Miss left 21 base runners on base tonight. That is a insane stat. I mean, just think of like even half of those coming across the plate. I mean, 21 is a lot. Illinois left 12, but regardless, all that being said, crazy game. I hope you were there to witness it. It was an insane event. Probably the most insane game that I've seen since LSU in the regional. I mean, that was just a crazy back and forth game. Southern Miss gets the victory. Rubber match tomorrow. We'll see what Nico can do on the mound. We'll all three be there. Hopefully on the video on the field tomorrow, because hopefully it won't be another longer game. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want it to happen because I always feel like I jinx stuff. But that's JonBenet Kepper. That's Jackson Howell. I'm Dima Mixon. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.